Hello guys, welcome to Bhavna's Online Academy. I have free SM classes running on this channel. I'll give the link of the SM playlist in the description box below. Do check it out also. So yes guys, let's start with the video, and also this is the part 1 and part 2 will be coming soon. Yes guys, good morning to everyone. So today we are starting with a new chapter, organization and strategic leadership. So first we are going to study about, so the first thing we are going to study about in this chapter is organization structure. In this chapter, they have given you a description of what organization structure is, and all those introduction they have given you. Okay. I rather think if you study the organization concept and then you study the introduction, you will be able to understand better. Okay. So there are around 8 types of organization structure. So in our book, they have given us around 8 types of organization structure. I'll just tell the name of those structure and then we'll start. There is simple structure, functional structure, divisional structure, multi-divisional structure, SBUs, that is your strategic business units. We have discussed about it in our earlier chapters. And also then we have matrix structure, and then your network, and then your hourglass structure. Okay, so these are the 8 structures we are going to read about today. Okay, so first, before we get into the text, I'm going to make you travel through a story. So we are going to have like a business story time. Okay, then we'll move on to the text so you guys understand better. Okay, so first we'll start with simple structure. So you have your simple structure. Okay, till your simple structure to your SBU, everything is expanding. After your SBU is your 5th structure. After your 5th structure, everything will be getting contracted. Okay, so first your simple structure. So whenever someone starts a new thing, a new product or a new business, they start with simple structure. Simple structure is nothing but what you see in and around you usually. Okay, so if you go to these local provision stores that you have, there will be this one person. There will be this one person who is the owner of the shop, and he'll have a few employees who are working under him, namely Ramesh, Suresh, Chintu, Mintu, and all of these 4 people will be working under him. So this is a simple structure. There will be one owner who will also manage all the things. He'll just have a few employees under him to work. Okay. So if you go in a provision store, so there will be this, if suppose if he's Suresh, he's Naresh, or he's Chintu and he's Mintu. Okay, so what will happen is, if you go into a provision store, there will be this owner or manager. What he'll do is that this owner or manager will collect the cash from you. Okay, he'll be the person who will do who will give you the bill also. He'll be the person who will be ordering all the things that are required in the shop. Okay, he'll be the one who is paying the electricity bill. He will be the major person. Okay, the main person in a provision store will be the owner or manager. Under him, 4 people will be working. Example, if you are going to ask them for rice, there will be this Mintu who goes and takes up the rice for how many ever. Malligai kadai. That is what is meant by provision store. That is what I'm talking about. Okay, so they'll pick up rice and give it to you, and all of these things. So here the major power is with the owner or manager only. So this is the simple structure. Okay. So I hope you guys have understood what is simple structure. Okay. So what happens is, so when you start with a simple structure, suppose I am here. Okay. Suppose I am here. Okay. I have started with the simple structure. I brought in just a product. Okay. I have one product. So what happens in simple structure is that you start with one or very few products. Suppose you have these local saree stores, not big stores, but these local vendors of sarees. Okay, so they start with the saree business. Okay, they only sell one thing, one product. They only sell one product, that is sarees. Okay, so what happens is, when they start up, okay, so I am here. Okay, so what I decided is, let me start with the saree store. Okay, so when I start up with a saree store, I'll only start it near my house. I'll open a small shop where I have the saree store. I will be the owner or manager, and under me 2 to 3 people will be working. So this is how I actually start with a simple structure. So I'll have one product, and I'll only have a very limited market only. So limited market means in Chennai or in Tamil Nadu only I'll be selling my things. I'll have one product or a very few products, and or maybe with sarees I might sell kurti, or leggings or something like that. Very limited products and very limited market I'll have. Okay. So what happens is I have this business of sari and it grows and grows, and what happens? I finally capture whole of Tamil Nadu. Okay, I finally capture whole of Tamil Nadu. So once I capture the whole of Tamil Nadu, what will I think? Why shouldn't I expand my business? What will be my next question? Why shouldn't I expand outside Tamil Nadu? Okay, because my product has started gaining popularity all over Tamil Nadu and I've got a good market here. So why shouldn't I start expanding? So when I think I should start expanding, what I'll do is I'll start to expand in more markets. So what happens in such cases, my company will be a large company now. My small sari business company will turn into a large company now, but I'll still have limited products only, but I'll still be selling my saris only. My company, as a company, as a company, I have grown bigger, but what products I still sell is my saris only. Okay, so this is like a very low level of diversification I have did. Okay, so from a simple structure, I'll next move on to it. When I move into this, I'll move on to my functional structure. So what will happen is when I start expanding my business all over India, I won't be able to, I won't be able to manage all the things. Okay. So I'll have a lot of decisions to take. I will have to take about finance decision. I'll have to take marketing decisions, how my saris will be procured, how will I sell them. There are a lot of functions. Okay. Read about a function the last chapters. So you'll know there will be a lot of functions that I'll have to perform. As a single person, I'll not be able to perform all the functions. Okay, so what will I do in this functional structure is that after my simple structure is done, I'll move to functional structure. In functional structure, what I'll do is, please mute yourself. Yeah. So in function, just a minute. Okay, it's muted. Okay, thanks. Yeah. So in my in my functional structure, what will I do is I will be my name is Bhavna. I will be the owner. Okay, I'll be the CEO. Suppose CEO of my sari company, and under me I will start a lot of function, and for each function I'll keep a manager, and for each function I'll keep a manager. Suppose I have function of sales, I have marketing, I have finance, and all of these functions I'll have. And what will I do is under them I'll have a manager. For each function I'll have a functional manager, and under those functional manager there will be a few employees who are working. So first what happened was this: I was the only owner and manager, and under me a few employees were working. What happened was I started expanding all over India. When I started expanding all over India, I couldn't, as a single person, I was not able to manage. So what I did was I thought that I will, group my business into different functions. I'll group my business into different functions. That is, for finance, I'll have a finance function or a finance department. For a marketing, I'll have a marketing department. And before all the functions I was only handling, the finance, marketing, sales, procurement, and everything I was only handling. Now what I did was these functions I'm going to give it to someone else. That I'll appoint a functional manager under me, and these people will manage the functions. Okay, and each of them will report to me. At the end of the day, each of them will report to me. So how much cash have we collected today? How much sales have we made today? How much raw material or saris have been collected? How much have been stored? All of that, these functional managers will come and report to me. Under these functional manager also, you can have a few employees. Okay. So under finance, there will be an employee who is doing accounting. There will be an employee who is doing the journal, or who is doing the input in the computer system. So they may also have a few employees under them. Okay. So this is your functional structure. Okay. Now what has happened? From Tamil Nadu to all over India has expanded. But always remember, my product was only limited. I had only a limited product, but my market grew. Okay, but my market grew. I hope and up to this everybody is clear. Then what happened is, after I was all over India, then what happened is that I started getting exhausted. All my markets started getting exhausted, because sari business is only good in India. It only works well in India. Okay. So what happened now that I have captured TN, now that I have captured my sari business in India also, My markets have got exhausted. What has happened? My market has got exhausted. Okay. So now that my market has got exhausted, I still want to do something. I still want more money. Okay. So what I can do next is I was only running the business of sari, right? Now what I try to do is I start to diversify. I start to bringing other variety into my collection so that I can now reach more markets. Sari is usually worn by 25-year-olds to a few aged people in India. So what I do is I also want to capture a market of younger generation. Okay, I also want to capture a market of younger generation. So what I do is that I start to bring in jeans. I start to basically diversify, bring in jeans. I bring in shorts into my business, and then I bring in what do you say, shirts, top, and all of that. Okay, bring in all of these into my business. So what has happened here? I have developed more. Okay, so this is nothing but this is known as divisional structure. So this is nothing but this is known as divisional structure. Okay, so I'll tell you here. Okay, so what happens here is that first I was the only person. Okay, now we are starting from the story. First I was the only person. Under me there were few employees. Then what happened? I got in a few functions. Finance function, marketing function, sales function, and what was another one? Procurement function. Suppose, okay, I started with functions under me, and under those functional people, a few people were managing, and these functional people who the functional managers were there, they had to report to me. Now this was for sari. Okay, so now what has happened is I have diversified into a few more products. I have jeans under me. What else I have? I have tops under me. I have shirts under me. So I have expanded more. Okay, I have diversified business. And now I have more divisions. So these are known as divisions. So these are known as your divisions. You have started having divisions. So in divisional structure, what will happen is that under divisional structure, what will happen is that under each division, you will have some functions. So under even tops, I'll have somebody who is doing my finance, who is doing the marketing for top, who is doing sales for tops, who is doing procurement for tops. So under each division, I'll start having a functional level. Okay, so this is divisional level. What is the difference between the functional and divisional level? Functional level is a 2 level. Only the owner, then you have the functional level. In divisional, you have owner, divisions, and then your functions. Okay, so until this is everything clear, till your divisional is everything clear. Okay, yes, okay, cool. So what happens is that next you have something known as your multi-divisional. Next, you have something known as your multi-divisional. So what is the difference between divisional and multi-divisional is what we are going to understand now. Okay. So what happens is that, so under my divisional, okay, first we'll see a lot more about divisional. So what happened in my divisional structure was that, so there was, this was me. Under me, I had a few divisions. Under these divisions, I had a few functions. Okay. So what happened was that these functional people had to report to the divisional people, of course, and the divisional people had to come and report to me, and the divisional people had to come and report to me. So if this functional person, suppose the person who was doing this sari business, suppose who was doing this sari, not sari, we'll take the example of jeans. Suppose there was this function, okay, suppose there was this division called as jeans division. Under jeans division, there was this person who was procuring raw material. Under jeans division, there was this function named as procurement, and there was this procurement manager, the functional manager. What he did was one day he went to the market to buy a few things. What he did? One day he went to the market to buy few jeans. Okay, you know how many kind of jeans are available today. Okay, so when he went to the market, a few years back, let's have this as a few years back. Okay, a few years back when he went to the market, what happened was he was normally buying these normal straight jeans only. Okay, suddenly there hit a wave in the market, and what happened was that many new kind of jeans came into the market. So as the company owner, what I was doing was I told him to buy jeans and sell it. I was not much looking into the functions, okay, for just for example. So what happened was this functional guy went into the market. He saw there are so many kinds of new jeans which has entered to the market. You have this ripped jeans, pencil fit jeans, and what other kinds of jeans? All of those, okay. You had this color jeans, and you had this patterned jeans, slim fit jeans, all of those nonsense, okay. They came into the market. Just a second, please. 1 second. Okay. Okay. So all of these kind of jeans came into the market. So what he thought was just he again went to his he again came to the office. He came to the office and he suggested to his he came to his office and he suggested that why should not we also sell ripped jeans in our market? The market is going to be huge for torn jeans and all of that. So what he did was first he came, he discussed this with his employees and whoever he thought was important under his function. After the discussion, he went to the divisional level. Under divisional level, he also discussed with the divisional manager. Then after discussing with the divisional manager, then the divisional manager came to me, and they came to me and then they discussed with me whether we should do like that and all. And by discussing this, 1 year went on. This discussion went for 1 year because they were not able to reach me. What happened was I went on a holiday to USA. So until I returned back, they were not able to communicate me, and it became 1 year that I had returned back from USA. And after they came and communicated with me, by that time 1 year has gone, and ripped jeans fashion was itself gone. Okay, so this is a major drawback. Don't you think this is a very major drawback? Because there's a very much delay in decision making. Okay, because the employees of functions has to report to the functional head, then the functional head has to report to the divisional head. Divisional head has to report to me. So this, what happened, so this was a major drawback. I started this, then I felt, I have lost a major share of market where I could have earned a lot of revenue. So due to this divisional, delay in decision making, what happened was that then I got an idea. I transformed myself from simple, then I transformed to functional, then I transformed to divisional. Then now I thought, why should I not transform into multi-divisional sector? What did I thought? I transform into multi-divisional structure. So what they do in multi-divisional structure is that they, if you have, so okay, this is me. I have a few divisions under me, right? And they have few functions under them. Okay, I have the sari, jeans, top, t-shirts, all of that. Okay. So what happens is that what I decided was that now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delegate my authority. What I'm going to do? I'm going to delegate my authority. Okay. So is there anybody who does not know the meaning of delegation? Because we've studied this in 12th, I suppose. Delegating means if I had 100% of the authority with me now to take decisions, in simple terms, I have delegated some of my authority. Delegated some of my authority means 90% decision making authority, I'll give it to the divisional level. Only the 10% authority I'll have with me. Okay. So major of the decision making authority I have to give to them. This is what happens when you move into, this is what happens when you move from divisional to multi-divisional. Divisional to multi-divisional. Okay. So what happens is I have given each division. What I did now is, okay. So listen here. So what I have did now is that I have made each division under my company. Each division under my company is a separate company itself. Okay, I've given them so much, authority and responsibility that they can even work as a separate company. So what happens when I give so much authority and responsibility and I make them I make each division like a separate company? What happens in such cases that the division people, they have more autonomy, they have more power to take decisions, and decisions can be taken quickly. It is not important that for every decision they come to me. So in such case, the decision making has been speeded up. Okay. So this happens. Okay. So for quicker decision making, okay, because in expanding scenario, I need a quicker decision making. For every decision, they cannot wait for me, right? So for such case, I expanded it into a multi-divisional sector. Can you tell once more, ma'am? Okay. So, and when I move from divisional to multi-divisional sector, so what happens is that, okay, whoever asked me this question, did you understand what problem was actually there? Did you understand the problem of decision making, which I told you? Yes, you understand that. So what happened was that, so I thought, okay, this is me, okay, forget whatever happened. This is me, I'm Bhavna, okay. So I am the owner. I was one day sitting in my balcony and thinking that I lost so much of revenue, I lost so much of money, I lost so much of profit. I could have bought three more new houses of it. I could have bought more luxurious car out of it. All this I missed out, added. I was thinking, okay. So what can be done? What can be done? When I was thinking, what happened was suddenly an idea struck in my mind. What the idea was that, see, the whole problem came because they had to come and ask for each decision, to take each decision whether to buy ripped jeans or not. Also, they had to come and ask to me, right? So this was the problem which was going on. So what I thought was, I cannot sacrifice my vacations and all. I want to go to US every year, okay? For these decisions and all, I cannot sacrifice. So what I thought was that, what I'll do, I thought that for each division, I'll give them, for each division, I'll make it as a separate company itself. Separate company itself not means legal laws and as per companies act and all. No, not like that. What I mean here is that if I'm going to make my each division as a separate company in the sense, what I'm trying to say here is that I'll give them the whole power. I'll give them the whole power to take all decisions by each division. Each division will be a sari division. Someone who is there in sari division now will have all the decision making power. The divisional manager of the sari division will have all the decision making power. Likewise, what do you say? The person of the divisional manager of the jeans decision will have the whole power to take decision about which jeans to buy, which jeans not to buy. Then what jeans can be sold right now, which jeans will suit which season, what is the Indian market, what do people prefer. All of such divisions, decisions, they do not need to come to me and ask. They can take it by themselves. Okay, did you understand this? Yeah. Whoever asked me the doubt. A little fast. Okay, cool. Yeah. So now I hope you guys must have understood till what is multi-divisional structure. Okay. So after multi-divisional structure, yeah. Okay. So after multi-divisional structure, what happened was this. From now on, we'll stop our sari example. Okay. So now we are going to move into a business mode. So what happened was that there was this multi-divisional structure. Okay. So okay, suppose I am now we'll take the example of a real company itself so that you guys are able to understand better. Okay. Suppose what happens is I am the CEO of this Nestle company. Okay. I am the CEO of Nestle company. I am the owner of Nestle company. I am the owner, CEO. Okay, whatever. 1 second, guys. Yeah. So I am the owner or CEO of Nestle company, suppose, okay. So what happened was that under me, I had a few divisions. So under me, I had a few divisions, and these divisions were working in multi-divisional structure. Means they had the whole, whole power of decision making in short. Okay. So I had under me, I had this Maggie. I had this Maggie noodles. I had, I'm not able to write properly. I had this Maggie noodles. I had my Maggie ketchup. What else do you have under Maggie? Maggie ketchup. Under Nestle, you also have these garments which are being run. No, not under Maggie noodles. I'm asking. Ask Maggie as a brand. What you have? You have Maggie masala, all of that, and I even had a few beverages under me. Okay, as a Nestle company, you even have chocolates under Nestle company. Right. This and all you will be able to on your fingertip. Okay. So what happened was that I was closely keeping a watch on my company. What was happening? What was happening as the CEO of the company of Nestle or the owner of the company of Nestle? He was keeping a close watch. Enough, guys. I know that you know a lot of food items. Okay. Yeah. So I was keeping a close watch. When I was keeping a close watch, I understood something. Okay. what I understood was that there are a lot of businesses in my company or a lot of divisions in my company, which, if these divisions and all work together, if these divisions work together, there will be a better performance in the company. If these divisions work together, there will be a better performance in the company. Okay. So what happened was that I found out a few divisions which were related to each other. I found out a few divisions which were related to each other, and these needed similar kind of planning, or they needed similar kind of strategy only. Okay. So they need consolidated planning. Okay. Just a second, guys. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, what was I saying? Yes. So I found out it's okay. So what are the so you guys help me in picking which divisions do you think are related to each other? Okay, I've written here 4 divisions. Okay, I'll include one more. One more is Maggi masala, and we can also include chocolates. I will also include chocolates. Okay, so there are 6 divisions now. SBU Gamanikala. I'm only starting with SBU now. You can listen. Okay, I cannot explain all the things from start again. Maybe after I complete this, if you still don't understand, I'll explain. Okay, so there are 6 divisions that I have written here, right? Okay, this is a task for all of you guys. Which divisions do you think can work together, or the planning can be done together for these divisions, and these divisions are somehow related to each other? There are 6 divisions. Yeah, I need at least 10 to 15 answers, guys. Okay, so keeping all those answers in a combination, what you guys are trying to say, taking all of your answers into consolidation, what you guys are trying to tell to me is that first, second, and third division, these 3 divisions are somehow related to each other. Okay. Okay. Somehow or the other. Maybe you use Maggi masala in the Maggi noodles. Or what happens is that to increase the ketchup taste, you can use Maggi masala into ketchup. Or you can use the ketchup in your Maggi. It can be related like that also. Or it can be related in the terms like how, if I make a same strategy to sell my noodles, ketchup and masala, if I make a strategy, that this noodles, ketchup and masala, we are going to, what do I say? How can I tell you? What kind of strategy can be made for all of these? Maybe we sell all of these 3 in one offer, because somehow or the other they are related. Yeah, combo pack. That's what I told. Not only that, but when I read the text, you'll understand better. For now, you understand that there is something which is related. A few divisions are related to each other, and for these few divisions, you can make a similar or same plan. Okay. When you group these divisions into one, it will be known as a SBU. Many kinds of divisions. Okay, these are multi-divisional structure. Noodles was taking its own decision, ketchup was taking its own decision, Maggi masala was taking its own decision. But what I did was, I thought that why do I have to, every time I bring in a strategist in my company, a person who is going to make strategy in my company, that person is taking me extra cost for making strategy for noodles, strategy for ketchup, and strategy for masala. I used my mind and I thought we can make the same plan for all of these things and it will still work, because they are anyhow related to each other. Okay. So for that, what I do is I combine all of these 3 divisions into one SBU. What was I saying? So yeah, these and all work together. Okay. So what I thought was that, what as a CEO of the company I'm going to do is that, I know that we started with having a employees only. Okay, then we started with having a few functions. Okay, then we started having a few divisions. Okay, then we had started with having a few divisions. Not now. What I have did is, these few divisions also I have bifurcated into a SBU. Okay, I've bifurcated them into SBU. So all the related functions under one SBU. So I'll have one SBU for Maggi brand. I will have another SBU for garments under Nestle company. Okay, I'll have another SBU for my chocolates, another SBU for my beverages. So Nestle sells a lot of chocolates. Okay, now a lot of chocolates. You guys have just joined it. What? Again, I have to explain. Okay, you guys tell me, until that I'll explain. What are the different types of chocolates are sold by Nestle? Fast Google it if you don't know, and let me know. Okay, so for people who have just joined in, what I just told was that So if there is a person, we started with that, we have a lot of functions, then we built a lot of divisions, and now what we did was we grouped the similar divisions together, and now we have one SBU. So there will be one SBU for Maggie, there might be one SBU for garments, there might be one SBU for chocolates, there might be one SBU for other beverages and all. Okay, so see, so in under Nestle, you are able to say so many chocolates, right? So what they'll have is they'll not have separate, what do you say, each decision making for separate chocolates. So all the different kind of the chocolates. So under chocolates, you have a lot of divisions. What are the different divisions under chocolates? You have Milky Bar, you have Kit Kat, you have Choco Bar. So what they'll do is all these chocolates are different only. They are different divisions only. But what they'll do is they will build an SBU. Under that SBU, all kinds of chocolates they will have. So this will be the SBU called as chocolate SBU. They will have another SBU known as Maggie SBU. Under that, Maggie masala, Maggie noodles, Maggie ketchup will come. Polo is also example for chocolate. Okay. So this is broadly how SBU is. Okay. So until SBU is everyone clear. This was the most difficult, understanding of what you, understandable part in the chapter. Everything else is easy only. Everyone I need clear. Okay. If you guys might have read this chapter by your own before, or if you might have not attended the classes and taken up this chapter, you might have not even understood the example of divisional, multidivisional, and SBU, because all the three seems the same, and only just a little bit of difference is there in all the three. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah. So what SBU means is that, what you do is, what you do is you group related businesses together. So in SBU, what you do, you group related business together, and for all these businesses, you appoint a SBU manager. You appoint a SBU manager. So how it will be in Nestle brand is that, we'll take the example of Nestle brand. So under Nestle brand, you suppose have three divisions, okay? Three SBUs. You have three SBUs. This is SBU number 1, SBU number 2, SBU number 3. So under SBU 1, you will have, so your SBU 1 is your Maggie SBU. So your SBU 1 is your Maggie SBU, and your SBU 3 is your SBU 3 is your chocolate SBU. SBU 3 is your chocolate SBU. So under Maggie SBU, so each SBU you will have a strategic business unit manager also. So each SBU will have its own manager. Then under each SBU you will have divisions. Suppose noodles division. It's not rating. Suppose noodles divisions. Then you have ketchup division. Then you have masala division. So for each division also, again you will have a divisional manager. And under each division, under suppose Maggie noodles, you'll have different kind of functions which are getting performed. Under ketchup, you'll have different kind of functions getting performed. Under masala, you'll have different kind of functions getting performed. So this is how we developed from a simple structure to a strategic business unit. Okay. I hope this is completely clear to you guys. I don't think you should have any doubts. Okay, more than this. Okay, cool. Yeah, so now shall we start with the text? So first 40 minutes of the class I have spent in making you understand what it is. So now when we are going to go through the text, it will be easier. Okay. So, okay, first introduction, the whole introduction part, it only tries to say one thing. Your whole introduction part, okay, until see from starting from here to here to here to here. Okay, it only tries to say one thing. What is that one thing? Is that your, one second guys, just a second. Someone has asked something. One second. Okay, just a second guys, give me a second. Okay, so what they always say is that, you have two things. One is your oh god, one second guys, just lock the screen. Oh. Is that, yeah, got What? Oh, my screen display went off. Huh? Okay. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll see the introduction in last systems. At one point, I'll tell you in the end. Okay. So we don't have any confusion. We'll start with simple structure. We'll start with simple structure. So simple structure, what? And now when I'm going to read you through text, I'll not explain you detail by detail everything. Okay. You'll be able to understand by yourself. If you don't understand it at any point, you can ask me. Okay. So in simple structure, it means that it is the most appropriate for those companies which follow a single business strategy and offer a line of products in a single geographic market. That means they give you limited products in a limited market. So it is suitable for such companies. Okay. Next, what they say is that appropriate for focused cost leadership or focused differentiation strategy. Okay, so those who have attended my previous class would know what is focused cost leadership and focused differentiation. I'll not elaborate it now on it now. You can go watch my I'll be uploading the videos. You can watch it there. Okay, so yeah, so I told you an example of focused differentiation. Okay, that day I gave you an example of Bevet watches. So Bevet watch, I told you that each watch is made for $4.5 lakh. One watch will cost $4.5 lakh. That is their starting rate. Okay, and what happens is that these, they only make around 5 to 6 watches in a year. So they only make 5 to 6 watches in the year. So now I have a company, okay, I am earning in billions, okay, but what happens is I only make 5 to 6 watches in a year. That means will I need a huge structure like SBU or divisional or multi-divisional? No, because I will be the owner. Under me, a few people will only be working to make the watch, and that's it, the watch will get done. Okay, so these kind of big companies who are working under focused cost leadership or focused differentiation strategies can use simple structure. That simple structure is enough for them. One owner and under them a few employees who are one under production. One is doing production and procurement. One is doing a few other functions and like that. Okay. Next, what they say is that owner manager makes all major decisions directly and monitors all activities. So the owner of the provision store or the owner of the sari store, I will only make all the major decisions and monitor everybody. Okay. They say that there is a little specialization of task. What is specialization means is that if you keep on doing one task day by day or year by year, you get specialized in that. If daily you are going to practice gymnastics, you are going to get better at gymnastics. If daily you are going to practice guitar, you'll get specialized as a guitarist. Okay. So that is specialization. Here, what happens is that I am not specializing in one thing. I'm not specializing in only finance or only marketing or only sales. Here, under simple structure, I do everything. I'll do all the things. So here, specialization is very little only. Okay, because I'm not doing only one task. I'm doing a lot of tasks. Okay, suppose I am someone. I play piano also. I play guitar also. I play drums also. I play flute also. That means I don't specialize on one thing. So specialization is little here. I only have very few rules. Then I have little formalization only, not much formalization at all. Okay. Then direct involvement will be there of the owner or manager, whoever is there in all the phases of the activity. And the communication is very frequent. If I am sitting in the shop, the employee will be next to me only. Frequently, we can gossip and we can communicate. So communication is frequent and direct. New products, if I want a new type of sari, okay, now I was only selling Banaras sari, I want to bring in a silk sari in the market, then new products easily I can introduce because all the decision making is with me only. Night if I think tomorrow I should sell silk saris, the next day I'll sell my silk saris. Okay. Then next you have openness to what are the advantages? Openness to innovation. So if I have a product, okay, now we took the examples here in which sari and all you cannot innovate in anything, okay. So openness to innovation means, okay, so now you can be like, what happens is that when my customers are coming to my store, I have a specialty in my sari store. What I do is the same sari, I'll drape them in 3 to 4 ways and show them. So this is the innovation I'm doing to attract my customers. So easily I can innovate anything I like and I can do. Greater structural flexibility. So anybody can do any work, okay? It's not like that only functional people. So we don't have any functions or division here. So all people will do all kinds of work, okay? Suppose I am there, one employee I have made for doing the cash and accounting, another employee I have for showing my sarees. If the person who is showing the sarees is went for lunch, now the person who is doing the cash and accounting will also show the saree to the customers. So there is a structural flexibility. Okay. And an ability to respond more rapidly to environmental changes. Now, if whatever trend changes that come, I can adapt to the trends. Okay, so what is the disadvantages there? There is no accountability. Suppose I run the sari store. I have told one of my employee that go and bring sari from the corner store. I have given them a sari order. Go and bring it from there. What happens is this employee might tell, no, I told to this employee. No, I told to this employee. He didn't bring. He didn't bring. So there's no accountability. If there's a person who is fixed that he must do this work only, then accountability will be there. Here there is very low accountability and low specialization. I already told you that. Okay. Okay, simple structure. I hope it's clear. Next, we are going to move on to if then and there. If you have doubts, please ask it there itself. When I move to the next structure, don't ask me the previous structure doubt. Okay. Functional structure. So what is functional structure is that under this owner, you will have a lot of functions and a functional manager for each. You will have a finance function, marketing function, sales function, and all of that. Okay. So functional structure groups task and activities by business function. So what I can do is I have a sales function. Under my sales function, the person will do the sales also and he'll do the marketing also. I can also have like that. It's my wish. However, I group my task and activities as business function. Okay. This is also very simple and it is inexpensive also. Okay, it's just that because I'm earning a lot, I also need to keep a few managers. Okay, that's it. Only that cost I'll have. So it promotes specialization of labor because I have only one person who is there for procurement, or I have this procurement function who has a functional manager. They will be specialized in that because for so many years they'll be only doing procurement thing. Now they know from how to bargain from someone, how to get the best quality at the best rate. They'll know all of those things. So that promotes specialization. It encourages efficiency. So we become more efficient at doing things, minimizes the need for an elaborate control system, and allows rapid decision making. Okay, it allows you rapid decision making. Yeah, quickly also you can take because there are not much people in the organization. Okay, so in this, who will be there is there will be see the structure. Okay, that is a little confusing. Okay, see this. You will have a CEO. Under CEO, you will have a few functions. Under each function, you will have few employees or few staff who are working. So this is what they have written here. Next, they have told there might be a few problems in functional structure. What are the problems that might be there in the functional structure is that, please, am I going fast? Because after the class ends, you guys come to me and tell that I'm going fast. If it is, let me know now itself. No, right? My talking speed is okay, right? Yeah. Yeah. So what was I saying? So yeah, problems. So what problems might be there? So what problems might be there is differences in functional specialization and orientation might impede communications and coordination. So what they are trying to say here is that there might be coordination problems. There might be coordination problems because we have each function unit. Okay, so what each functional unit will think is that suppose we have 3 units. Okay, suppose we have 3 units. We have this finance unit, we have then a marketing unit, and then we have the sales or purchase unit. Suppose so there will be a coordination problem between these three units. Because if marketing people wants to do something new, they must tell people that, I mean, they must go to the finance people and they must ask money for advertising. The marketing department will take, give us, please give us 5 lakh rupees for advertising. We need it right away. Finance department will say, why do you need so much? Marketing also can be done in 3 lakh rupees. No, will not give you so much. So what each function will try to do is that they will want to be the best. So if finance function wants to be the best, it will make sure that it has more money with itself only. It will, because it can get a good name to the owner. Whereas the marketing, if he doesn't give money, then marketing department will go down. Then marketing department will fight with the finance department guy. So these kind of problems between communication and coordination might come, which is a major drawback. Okay, so every function will think about their benefit only. Okay, next what you have is that functional specialists may often develop a myopic or narrow perspective, losing sight of company's strategic vision and mission. Repeat again. So what happens is that when there are 2 to 3 functions, so there are functional managers for each thing. So if I am there, okay, if I am there, I'll get my report from the functional managers only. Okay, so what happens is that each functional manager will try to prove that they are the best to me or their function is the best to me. Okay, so suppose if I'm the owner. Okay, so what will happen is there is a marketing function and there's this finance function. Marketing function might want to become the best and marketed products towards the best of direction, and they might want money for marketing, for advertising. They'll go to the finance department. If they go to the finance person and or the finance department and ask for money, if suppose they're asking for 10 or 15 lakh rupees, suppose, okay, so what this finance person will say, why do you need so much money, that and all, that much and all, I cannot give, I only give you 5 lakh rupees or 7 lakh rupees. Under that, how much ever you are able to adjust and market yourself, market yourself. More than that, I'll not be able to give, because I also have a few investments to make and all of that, and for that I need money. So what happens here? In such case, this can lead into fights. Okay, they'll not have coordination between themselves. So this is the problem which they can have. I hope that's clear. Next, functional specialist may develop a narrow perspective, losing lights alongside of. So what each function will do is they will try to prove their function as the best, like I just told you now. What happens is then the coordination will get the company will start getting reduced. When something like that happens, the company will slowly start getting collapsed. So because each function is trying to have its own perspective and do things in its own way, they will tend to forget what actually as the company as a whole they had to achieve. If they are going to fight like cats and dogs, they will not be able to achieve the company's vision. But that they might not understand. Okay, so this is functional specialists may often develop a narrow perspective, losing sight of company strategic vision and vision. I hope that is clear. Okay. Is functional and simple structure clear? Can you move to divisional and multi-divisional? Jaldi, fast, Tikram. Okay, guys. Yeah. So next what you have is divisional structure. So next what you have is divisional structure. So what happens in divisional structure is that, so what was divisional structure? I told you after functions you introduce a few divisions. So this divisions, what happens is as a firm grows year after year, it faces difficulty in managing different products and services in different markets. So what they try to do is they try to create a division. So this divisions can be made using code. I gave you the example of division by products. I gave you the example of division by products. Divisions can also be made in geographic areas. Division can be also made using products or service. Division can also can be made based on customers or process. But the thing which you'll be easily able to understand is divisions by products only, because that is the most that we have heard of. Now I'll give you the examples for divisions by geographic, customer, and this also. But don't get confused. Whenever you are able to recall what is division structure, always keep in mind about your products only, so that it's clear for you. If you are going to study using geographic and product or service, then you might get confused. Okay. So what is divisional by geographic area? So what is divisional by geographic area? Few examples I'll give you. Our ICAI. ICAI has the Southern Council, Northern Council, Western and Eastern. Okay. So this ICAI is working as a divisional structure, right? Okay, so that is one example of using geographic area. Using geographic area, they have divided their company. Another example can be your Domino's. So Domino's, I'll also tell you this thing, okay? So just little bit of insight regarding Domino's and all those Domino's lovers. So Domino's, they work on geographic area basis only. They have a divisional structure under geographic area basis. Okay, so they have this division known as India, they have division UK, they have division US, they have division China, and they have divisions like that. You know what? There was this documentary I saw. Okay, I saw it on Hotstar. The documentary is known as the Global Junk Food documentary, I guess. Not sure. Okay, the Global Junk Food documentary or something like that. So in the documentary, what happens is that Domino's is there, Domino's, what they do, so what kind of I'll tell you why they have divided using the geographic areas, why divisions are made using geographic areas. I'm trying to explain you that now. Okay, So what happens is that if you take your when you go and order something and buy, that is, you get it from Domino's, you know, you have these pizzas and burgers which are really yummy. Okay, so when you taste your pizzas in India, and if you taste the same pepper paneer pizza in suppose US or somewhere like that, I've been to US also. When I tasted it there, you know, it's just completely different. The taste is completely different. What happens? Why is the difference? Okay, that's when I started thinking and I came across this documentary. What in the documentary they said was this: in India, when you get the Domino's products, you know, behind that it is a rule of Domino's, or I don't know, there is a rule in few countries, okay, that if you are going to sell something in that behind the food packets, or even if you have a fast food chain, behind that, if you are giving a package thing, you must have your nutritions written there. How much sugar is there? How much whatever, you know, fat, calories, and all of that, you must have it written there. But in India, you know, in Indian Domino's, in anywhere you go on, in anywhere you go in India, I'm not sure if it's still same. Now I saw this documentary a year or two ago. Okay, so what happened is that then they do not have these nutritions written at all. And what so there is this person who worked in Domino's who gave who gave an interview to this documentary. The people who are making documentary, he was an ex-person or ex-manager of Domino's. He told them that the Domino's which are made in US or UK, there is somewhere there are laws that it should be mentioned the nutrition value. So because they have to mention the nutrition value, that they keep the nutrition value at a value which is acceptable by humans. Okay, so if sugar must be this much only, and that will only be accepted by the human body, that much only they'll keep. If there is something a fat or calorie or something, I'm not sure what actually nutrients are really classified into, so I'm not able to explain that properly. So this much only it should be there. Okay, in other countries are not this much only they're following. Since in India they do not have these things like that, you know, that this much only you should have, or this much only you should have, or okay, even if they do not have like that, we can at least have a system where they can tell us what is there in this pizza. So they say that they have nearly 3 to 4 times more the amount of components that is actually accepted by the human body. If a human body can only accept 100 units of it, just for making it more tastier and more, you know, uh, more likely, what do you say, more make it a preference of customers, because we Indians, you know, we have a lot of this too. We need more spices, we need a lot of sweet, we just have a lot of different tastes, and we like a lot of different tastes. So due to that, they put in a few things which are more than the acceptable units of acceptable line. And because of that, you know, if you're going to continuously keep on eating the Domino's thing over and over again, definitely your body will start having reactions to it. So after I heard this, I have stopped eating from Domino's. It's been like 2 years, I guess. I've stopped eating from Domino's. I don't, not 2 years, maybe 1.5 years. I don't eat in Domino's also. So, you know, why I don't do this was, it's important that not only you study your subject, but you also need to have the knowledge of outside world, what actually is happening in the world. Okay, so yeah, so that is my geographic. So you might have a division like this due to the geographic areas, due to these all factors and all. So an Indian will make things like this, then UK will make things like this. So that is example. Okay, guys. Yeah. So next we have in divisional structure we were talking about. Let's get back to that. Then we have divisional structure using product or service, and according to customers also you can have. That means which. 1 second, you can just have water is also not here. Okay, if I no problem. Yeah. So divisional structure on the basis of customers also we can have, guys. The customer thing, what you can have is this is followed by airline companies. Okay. Okay, so what they do is they have, like, based on customers they divide their divisions. There might be a passenger division in their if there is an Indigo company, they'll have a passenger division and the cargo division. That means the goods and all is carried in that. So by this also you can have divisions, and by process I'm not really sure what divisions do they actually make. Okay, so this is an example of all the four. Okay. So next what is written here is that what is the advantage of divisional structure? So advantage of divisional structure is that accountability is clear. Accountability is clear means, now not like that function in that shop, if I give one person one work, he will say, no, that person had to do that work, that person had to do that. Here, no problem like accountability. Everybody will know. The accountability will be clear here. If there is a loss making division, if my jeans division is making loss, I will know whom to hold accountable for it. Definitely my jeans manager will be held accountable for it. Okay, so the accountability here is clear. Divisional managers can be held responsible for sales and profit levels. If there is a decline in sales, I'll go and ask only that division manager why there is a decline in sales and all of these things. Here what happens is that it creates career development opportunities for managers. Okay. So when there was functional structure, there is only me, and under me I had a few functions. Here they didn't have much career opportunity. After functional head, the next head is only owner, and my position I'll not give to functional head definitely. So there's nothing where you can have promotions. Okay, there's no career development opportunity. You cannot have promotions. Whereas in divisional structure, since you have different kind of divisions, a functional structure may think of being a divisional structure head also. So there is a promotion thing which is there and which creates career development opportunities for managers. Okay, I hope that's clear. Next, what are the limitations? The limitations is that it is costly. All the functional specialists also has to be paid. All the divisional heads is also to be paid, because there are a lot of more people in the organization. More has to be paid. And divisional, the difference what divisional and functional level people will also take is huge. Not like just an employee they'll get paid. They'll also have to get paid more. Okay, so costly. Division requires functional specialists who must be paid. Okay, there will also be duplication of stuff. Duplication of stuff in the sense, because in under each division I have the same functions: sales, market, production. Under this also I'll have sales, market, production. The same function is getting repeated and repeated again. So this is nothing but duplication of stuff. Then another limitation is that is certain regions, products or customers may sometimes receive special treatment. Okay, so as a company, if there are a few divisions, the few divisions might receive a special treatment from me. Okay, there is this two divisions which are always making good profit, then I'll give special treatment to them, obviously. So this might happen. Okay, which means it is difficult to maintain consistency. Divisional level is also okay. I mean, that. Next you have multi-divisional structure. Next you have multi-divisional structure. Just a second, guys. Yeah. Okay. So in multi-divisional structure, what is the time? Yeah, we have 1 hour more. I guess we'll be able to complete this structure. Okay. Yeah. So multi-divisional structure, I already told you. Each division represents a separate business. Okay. So why do you bring a multi-divisional structure? Why do you bring a multi-divisional structure? Is that you give the whole responsibility to one division itself. All the decision-making power you give to one division itself. That is known as multi-divisional structure. So it creates separate division, each representing a distinct business. So like a distinct business, they would have its own decision-making power and all. Okay, each division would house its functional hierarchy. It can have functional hierarchy as it wants, because it is like a different function. It can take different decisions according to itself. Division managers are given the responsibility of day-to-day operation. We ignore that. Next, what you have? Small corporate office that would determine long-term strategic divisions and exercise overall financial control over semi-autonomous divisions. Okay, guys, don't read. Okay, for now you have understood the base. That's enough. When you read this whole thing and come back to these things in the down, you'll be able to understand more. Okay, give it a read by yourself. I only read the important points from here. Enable the form. Okay. Okay, guys. The multi-divisional structure, I can give a read by your own. You guys will be able to understand. It is not fully. There is one point where they told that it is only semi-autonomous. Semi-autonomous means it is not fully autonomous. All the power is not given to them. Shall we only mention 4 points? See, there is nothing. Even I am going to write my HM exam in November only. Okay, I am not a teacher who has a lot of experience to tell you guys what should be written in the exam or what should be not. But what I believe, as I have already given this paper in my last attempt, what I personally believe is that, okay, that works for me. I don't know if it will work for you or not. having concept knowledge, and in paper even you bluntly write whatever concept you know, not even writing whatever is given in the book, only using the language. So you have to use the language like divisional manager. This is what is the language of SM. The language of SM is very easy. I believe that if you use this language alone, and if you write whatever you know, whatever concept you know, and write in the exam and come, you know, if that concept is relevant, if you know what the concept is and write the concept, even if you don't know what I mean exact points also, it's okay, you'll still get marks. Yeah. Okay, yes. Next, you have strategic business units. Strategic business units means you have multi-product, multi-business enterprises. It is impractical for an enterprise with a multitude of business to provide separate strategic planning treatment to each one of its product or business. So again and again, same planning only it has for Maggi masala, Maggi ketchup, and what was Maggi noodles. So it is very difficult, you know. They only don't have Maggi divisions. They have a lot of other divisions. For if they sit and do planning for each and every division, it will take a lot of time. There might be 20 divisions. For each division, when will they will sit and plan for each one? So better what they do is similar divisions they bring together. If suppose they have 20 divisions, what they do is, so in all the 20 divisions, there are four divisions. There are four divisions which are related to each other. So they bring in 5 SBUs. So for under each SBU, there will be 4 divisions. So all the 5 SBUs, for all the 5 SBUs only, they'll make plans, not for the 20 divisions. I hope that is clear. Group or wait, I've not yet come to the point itself. I'm still ready. I'm still reading from the top. Travel with me, guys. So you don't study what's written there. I'm going to explain it quick, okay? So group the product or businesses into a manageable number of related business units and take them up for strategic planning. I hope this is clear. Okay. So the most important characteristics of SBU. So there are 3 important characteristics of SBUs. So there are 3 important characteristics of SBUs. That is MCC. That is MCC will move from top to will move from bottom. What is happening? We'll move from bottom to up. Okay. So what they say is it has a manager who has responsibility for strategic management and strategic performance. So there is a SBU manager. So there is a SBU. So first M stands for the manager. So there is a SBU manager who has the responsibility for strategic planning and profit performance. So under him, whatever divisions is there, for the strategic planning also he'll only do, and the profit performance, which division is doing better or not, the SBU manager will only see. Okay. Then next is C. C means competitors. So it has its own set of competitors. See, Maggi, so if you have a Maggi SBU, the Maggi department will have its own set of competitors. The Maggi SBU will have its own set of competitors, and the Nestle chocolate SBU will have its own set of competitors. So the competitors are different here totally. So that is what is meant by own set of competitors. Next you have collection of related business. So next to C is collection of related business. Someone unmute themselves. Okay. A single business or a collection of related business offers scope for independent planning, stand alone from rest of the organization. So what they are trying to say here is that here they try to say that each SBU, they can do independent planning. What independent planning means that these SBU units, they don't have much influence from the top level as such. The corporate level will not get much involved in the strategic planning or performance of each SBU. So each SBU will have its own independent plan which they can make, and it will stand alone from the rest of the organization. Okay. I hope the characteristics are also clear. Right there, MCC. Okay. Next. Hey, what I didn't mark? Okay, guys, the SBU whole thing, they have repeated the same point again and again, and there is a lot of text. I don't think I'll be able to explain you everything, but you have understood the concept is what I believe. So once you read this, you guys will be able to understand what it actually is. Okay. Next, we'll move on to matrix. Okay, now we are completed with our, now how much time do we have? Okay. Now we have completed with our 5 major types of structure. That is, see, now look at this diagram very carefully. Okay. So what happened was we started with we started. Okay, I'll start from here. What happened? Yeah, we started with simple structure. We started with simple structure. Then our business expanded a little more. When it expanded, we brought in functional. Okay, so when functional also, when we expanded even more, we brought in divisional. We brought in divisional. When this divisional also expanded more, we brought in multi-divisional. When we brought in multi-divisional. When this multi-divisional also expanded more, we brought strategic business units. We brought in, I'm sorry, I'm writing with my hands, so I'm not able to write, there's no space. Okay, so this you can see here, there is something which is going on expanding. There is something which is going on expanding. So all these strategies are expanding strategies, which means they are expanding one after the other. All these strategies are expanding one after the other. You can see here. Yeah, is it expanding? Yes, it's expanding, right? So each strategy is expanding after one another. I hope this is clear. Okay, next what you have after strategic business unit is that your firm was expanding till now. It had expanded so much that now it is finding some difficulties. Now it is finding difficulties. So what it has now started to do is it is now started to get contracted. It is going to do something called as matrix, and then lower than that it is going to do network. And then you have one more structure known as hourglass structure. This is not related to anything. Okay, so I hope this is understood. Now I'll explain you what is matrix. Okay, so it's telling you about, so we have started something known as the matrix structure. So what is matrix structure? Okay, so how many of you like Starbucks here? Starbucks fans? Starbucks. Anybody who loves Starbucks? Yes. 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 Not to hurt you all, but this, okay. What was he saying is Starbucks follows this matrix structure only. That was what I was about to say. But I am not a big fan of Starbucks. I had a try because of the hype. I tried one drink there. I don't even remember, something hot, some not hot chocolate exactly, something. Oh, I didn't like it at all. Okay, yeah, but it has a lot of hype. They are the, what do you say, the culture they have there is really nice. Okay, yeah. So we'll move on with the matrix structure. So in matrix structure, what happens is, as you can see, place. Is what you're asking me? I don't know what you're asking. Okay, so a matrix is a combo of vertical and horizontal. So you can see the diagram here, right? So you can see the diagram here. What is happening here is this. I will not be able to write on this. Okay, so what is happening here is that there is some kind of a matrix which is happening, some kind of a matrix that is going on here. Okay, just see this image now. Okay, now I'll switch on to my board again. So I'll explain you what is happening here. So you have this production function, sales. Okay, okay. So this is the function. I can only explain with the whiteboard. Yeah. So what happens in matrix structure is that it is said to be a combination of. It is said to be a combination of functional and divisional structure. Okay, so people who are finding difficulty to follow functional and divisional structure, they can follow the combination of functional and divisional structure, which is known as matrix, structure. So Starbucks is a famous example which follows matrix structure. I'll explain how. Okay, so what happens here is that matrix structure, you know, it is here, it is given. Where was that line? Yeah. So here it is given. Many industries use this matrix structure, but mainly which industries use these are construction, healthcare, research, and defense. Construction, healthcare, research, and defense. Okay. What is the time? Once again, guys. Yeah. Okay. So what happens here is that, so suppose you know, we are into construction business. So if suppose I'm into construction business, okay, I have different divisions under me. Okay. So I have different divisions under me. Suppose I have the division of or no, we'll take the example of not okay, I'll give you another example which are not from these four industries, but you'll be able to understand that. We'll take the example of Hyundai. Okay, what are the cars that are manufactured by Hyundai? What are the cars? You have this Verna, you have i10, I believe, or i20. What others do you have which are manufactured? Yeah. Then what else? Fast. I need two or three more names. Just Sandro, I think Fiat. Fiat is a different manufacturer. I20, i10. Yeah. Okay. Eon. Okay, guys. So yeah, these are the different types of cars which are manufactured by Hyundai. Okay. So what will happen is Hyundai will have this different car divisions. They'll have this different car divisions. We'll take the example of Verna. We'll take the example of what else did you guys? I don't have really much knowledge about these cars and all. It's like I'm taking help from you. You have this i20 and you said something known as Grand i10. Okay, we'll take this i10 also. Then you have Elantra. Okay. Okay, guys. Yeah, you guys know better. So yeah. So you have these different types of divisions, right? So what happens is that under each division you will have different kind of functions. Under each divisions you will have a different kind of functions. So what happens is that there is this function known as suppose you have a production function. You have a production function. Let's take the example of production function. So if you have a production function under Verna, the employees who are working under production functions, the employees who are working under this production function will have to report to two people. Okay, usually in other things and all, what did we see? Employees will report to the functional level, functional will report to divisional, divisional will report to SBU, SBU will report to the top level. But here what happens is that this employee, what happens in a matrix structure is that divisional and functional level are just a combination. So this employee must also report to this production head. This employee must also report to the Verna head. Okay. So that division manager also, he should also report to production manager. He should also report to the Verna manager. Okay. So this is what happens. Okay. So in this, what happens is they have to report to two people. Okay. Okay. This is one example of combination of functional structure. You can have a matrix structure like this. Okay. Or another example of matrix structure is that this is one main example. If you keep this example in mind, you'll be able to understand the text what is given in the book. But what happens in real life also, I'll say. So in real life, how matrix structures are followed is that, can you repeat? So what will happen is that each employee will have two heads. He will also have to report to the functional head, and he will also have to report to the divisional head. Suppose there it's a division for Verna cars. Under him, the function, if there might be different divisions, right? Why there's no need to report to two heads? I didn't get your question. I'm sorry. Can you ask it in a detailed way or something like that? Okay. So what happens is he also has to report to the cars, the whichever car. Suppose they're producing i10, the i10 division manager also, the employee has to report, and the employee is working under the production function. He has also report to the production department. Okay. So see, suppose there is this division, then you have this function. In division, you have division manager. In function, you have function manager. Under this function manager, few employees might be working. Usually in other, in other structures and all, it is enough if the employee is reports to the functional manager, whatever he has done and how the work is going. But here, in matrix structure, the employee must also report to functional manager and also to the divisional manager. He has to report to two people. Okay, guys. So in real life, I hope. Oh, what happened? Yeah. Yeah. 1 second. So in real life, what happens is how usually matrix structure works is that suppose you have this Maggie. Okay, suppose you have Maggie. This we are talking about Nestle brand here. You have this Maggie, and Nestle brand also has garments. So suppose there is this financial manager of Maggie. Suppose there is financial manager of Maggie. And this, okay, garment business will also have its own financial manager. So this is division 1, and this is division 2. This is division 2 and this is division 1. Okay, so under Maggie they will have a lot of functions, and under garment also they'll have a lot of functions. Under Maggie there is one function known as finance function, and they have a finance manager for that. Until now I think everybody is clear. So what happens is that this garment business will also have a finance manager. But what happens is that the finance manager of garments business, he is just new to the organization. He does not have much experience. Whereas the finance manager of Maggie division has a lot of experience, and this guy is really intelligent. Because you can see how Maggie is sold, people crave for Maggie like anything. Even though when people came to know that it has lead in it, people will still okay with that fact, and they still wanted to eat Maggie. Okay, so that is the level of intelligence suppose the financial manager has. Okay, so what he can do is, suppose the expertise of this financial manager is needed for the garment business also, the garment business can use the work of financial manager. The garment, if the work of financial manager or the expertise of financial manager is required by garment business also, the garment business can also use the work of financial manager. So like a matrix, you have crisscross things going on here. One division is using one functional manager, one functional manager is using another division. So crisscross is going on here. Okay, so this is how matrix in real life works actually. But in your book, what they have given is that, so this is because for your practical knowledge, but in your book, how is it given is that one employee must report also to the functional head and also to the divisional head. Okay, until now, do you have any confusions? It is clear? Is it clear? Fast. What's the time? Okay, we'll complete. A few more yes or clear, please. Okay, guys. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, I'll go through the text for you. So in your matrix structure, very appropriate when organization concludes that neither functional nor divisional forms. It's for them, neither functional nor divisional form is okay. So they move on to matrix structure. Okay. So what happens here is that employees have two superiors: a product or a project manager and a functional manager. So you also have a functional manager and also you have a product manager. That is your Verna manager. So employee has two superiors. Okay, but usually when you would have read in 12th, there is something known as a unity of command principle. So what that unity of command principle says, that is, every person should have only one boss. Every person should only report to one person and should only have one boss. This matrix structure is a violation of that unity of command principle, because here there are two bosses for each employee. The employee must listen. So the employee cannot do work only according to functional manager or only according to divisional manager. He has to try to satisfy both the people. Okay. So the most complex of all designs, because depends both upon vertical and horizontal flows of authority and communication. So this manager can come here and talk to him. This manager can take the example of this. Examples in articleship, senior and boss accountability. Yeah, correct. Okay, so you have this crisscross things which is going on here, and that's why it is most complex. So what are the other characteristics is that if you do good work, if this employee is doing really good work, if there is a functional manager and there is this divisional manager, he'll get rewards from both. He'll also get rewards from both, and if he is doing good work, and if he is doing bad work, he'll get punishments from both. He'll also get punishments from both. So it's everything is dual here. Rewards also dual, punishments also dual, and they have shared authority. So both of them have authority upon him, and they have dual reporting channels. You have to report to both the people, also to the functional person and also to the divisional persons. Okay, so where and all this is used: this construction, healthcare, research, and defense. Advantages are that project objectives are clear, because you know what your functional manager also needs from you and what also divisional manager needs from you are very clear into the head. There might be sometimes when functional manager would have told something to you to make you look like a bad employee, and this thing and all goes on in a organization, no? And the divisional manager will only will only shout at you. Now that you know what your functional and divisional manager both needs, you are very clear in what the objective is. Many channels of communication workers, okay, there is a comma after communication, there must come a comma after communication, they have missed it there. So you have many channels of communication, okay. Workers can see the visible result of their work, because both will be appreciated or both will not, or both will get punishment, both will give punishment. So you know the visible results of your work, okay. Shutting down a project is accomplished relatively very easily. Okay, for this shutting down a project is accomplished very easily. For this line, I have to actually give you the example of a construction work only. Then only you'll be able to understand why this line is written here. If we have time, I'll explain that. Next, it is very useful when the external environment is very complex, okay, because a lot of things, you know, not if I have one functional manager under me, if I'm running a division and I have one functional manager under me, then what might happen is my environment is very unstable. That what might happen is that this functional manager might be just new and it might not know about the environment of outside. So another functional person can help me. So this is why it is helpful. The matrix structure, okay. Ideas needs to be cross-fertilized. I told you, know, the idea of this finance manager might be needed by the garments business. So ideas might be cross-fertilized. Resources are scarce, okay, and decisions needs to be improved. The decision which was given by the finance manager of garments business was not that good. So they need improvement or in decisions and all of that. So they can take ideas from these finance manager also. Okay, guys, matrix structure we are done. Next, you have network structure. Last two. One is network and then you have hourglass. Okay. So now we are going to see network structure. I will show you how okay. So network structure, you know, network structure is known as non-structure. Network structure is known as non-structure. Okay, first is matrix clear. Matrix is everything clear. Then we have this network structure and this another what you have hourglass structure and lender class. Okay, guys. Yeah. So next, what you have is this network structure. So, sorry, the phase is, guys. There are a lot of things which are given in the book. You know, you guys can go through the text. You can read it completely from the start to the end. And if you have any doubts, you can come back to me, because each and everything I cannot explain the proposal of Darwin and Lawrence. I'll complete all of this, and after the class I'll send you a voice note maybe on what these things means. Okay, you guys need to remind me. I for a few things I tell and send you voice note, and then I myself forget. Now it's important that we understand the concept, and the text will understand later. Okay, this is what you guys are asking me about, right? These three things. Okay, I'll explain you either before the evening class or I'll send you a voice note. Surely, but I'll explain you. Okay, don't worry. Next, we have network structure. Network structure means that non-structure. Network structure means non-structure means there is no structure at all. Okay. So what happens here is that everything is outsourced. So in near network structure, you can write everything is outsourced. Everything is outsourced. So we'll take your example here is Levi's. Your Levi's. Then even your Reebok, your Nike, and even a few other brands. What were the other brands? Yeah, I'll just show you that PDF. Not this. Where is this gone? This is SBU. This is Matrix. I didn't take the picture of that. Okay, guys. So yeah. So what happens here is that, yeah, iPhone is also an example of network. So what happens is that they outsource all of their activities. Suppose I'm starting a shoe manufacturer. I start a shoe company. Suppose I start a shoe company and I am the owner or someone. Okay, what I'll do is, okay, what are the activities that I'll need to start a shoe company? Is that I will need a manufacturing unit. I need a sales unit. I need a marketing unit. I'll need something known as after sales or customer care unit. Then what is, okay, suppose these are the 4-5 things I need. Okay, so what happens is that none of these activities I'm going to do in my own business. What I'll do is each one of the activities I'm going to outsource it. So is there anyone who doesn't know the meaning of outsource? Because in the previous class I've told you Yeah, outsourcing means transferring some work to others. That means, okay, what will happen is that there is some company in India. Okay, this company in India, you know what I heard? Suppose I'm starting a shoe company in US. Suppose I started a shoe company in US. What happens is that I heard that Indian people, you know, so I have a few people sitting with me and we are discussing this. Okay, so a boss tells me that there's this a country called as India, and India, you know, there is a lot of companies which are providing customer care services for other companies. So what this basically means is that I have a company, I have a shoe company. Okay, so if there is something, there is some fault in the shoe, or customers want to contact the company because of some issue, I will need customer care services, because now what I think is I don't have the capacity to run a capacity to run a customer care service unit in my business. What I'll do is I'll go to this Indian company. So I'll go and ask them, what does this Indian company do? So the boy tells me that this Indian company does is that under this Indian company, you know, they have a lot of people who are working. What they do is they will assign 5 to 6 people for your company's customer care, and this 5 to 6 people will work as your company's customer care. So if I pay, so they will tell me, suppose this is just example. Okay, suppose they tell me that for each employee 10,000 rupees it will take. So how much ever employees you want for your customer care, you can take from my company. So I'll go to that Indian company, I'll talk with that manager, and I'll tell you I need only 5 people for customer care. So what he'll do is the outsourcing company, that is the Indian company, what they do is they outsource customer care services. That means they provide customer care services for other companies who needs customer care. So these 5 6 bunch of people, what they'll do is that he'll give me 5 to 6 group of people. He'll not give me in his company itself. He'll make a unit. Suppose my shoe company is known as Boom. Okay, Boom is my shoe company. Suppose my shoe company is known as Boom. What he'll do is he'll make a group, okay, or a unit or a division known as the Boom Shoe Company's customer care. Under that, 5 to 6 people will work. For them only, I'll have to pay salary, or whatever the contract is. According to that, I'll pay, and I'll explain them what my business is actually like. What are the customer care that you need to give? What are the question? How can you answer the question? What are the services that you get? Everything I'll explain to those people, and those people will work as my customer care people. So what happens here is that now, you know, any day if I want to cut the contract, I can cut it. But if it's in my company, for the customer care itself, I would have bought a few machines, telephones, computers, laptops. Suddenly, whenever I wish, I cannot close them. So this is for those companies, you know, for whose environment is rapidly changing, and they are in the idea of they can shut down as and when they want. So same like that, my manufacturing also I'll be outsourcing to someone else. My sales also I'll be outsourcing to some other company. My marketing also I'll be outsourcing into some other company. I'll not do any functions in my business. Okay, I'll not do any functions in under me. This Nike brand, you know, it does like that only. It just has a small headquarter. In that headquarter, there will be a few people. In this headquarter, there will be a few people. This few people will only manage my business, and all other, and the Nike's manufacturing is outsourced, sales is outsourced, marketing is outsourced, customer care is outsourced. Only whatever suppose manufacturing, what will happen is a shoe will come manufactured to them, and it will come to them, and they'll just put the stamp of their brand there, and they'll just put the stamp of their brand there. I'll give you an insight of a real business here. Okay, so people, okay, girls might find this useful. You have these what do you say, you have this cosmetic company. Okay, so there is a brand known as Mac. There's a brand known as Mac, and there's a brand known as Nika. For boys, these are two brands. Okay, this is a high-end brand, and this is a low-end brand. Example, I'll give you the example of a compact powder. Mac company sells the compact powder for 3,000 rupees, 3,500 to 3,500 rupees. Okay, whereas the Nika company sells their compact powder for 500 to 600 rupees. 500 to 600 rupees. No, okay. I'm not asking examples of brand. I'm giving you a real life example. Okay, since I am also from that industry, I know a lot about it. Okay, so what happens is that, you know, this Mac and Nika both have these both cosmetic companies have their compact powders outsourced. The manufacturing of compact powders outsourced, and these both people outsourced their compact from the same manufacturing company only, the same manufacturing company only. But because this outsourced compact powder goes to the MAC brand and gets branded as a MAC product, it is charged for 3,000 to 3,500 to that range. And the same compact powder, when it comes to Nykaa, what happens is that this Nykaa company, because of its brand, it's just new brand and all of that, it sells for 500 rupees. Okay, what is compact powder? Powder you have, no, if that powder you put inside a good dabba and with a sponge and all you'll give, that will be known as the compact powder. And that is basic. You must know what is compact powder, okay? We are coexisting, both boys and girls, okay? You must at least know this, what compact powder is. Don't be so much, okay, yeah, okay, I'll just ignore that. I hope you have understood what is network structure. Everything is outsourced here. This network structure, organizations who follow network structure, that is your Nike, your Levi's jeans, and all of them, they are known as virtual organizations. They are just known as virtual organizations because there is nothing known as the real organization here. Only they have a headquarters, a small headquarter where everything is getting work and everything else is only outsourced. Okay, so virtual elimination of in-house functions, many activities are outsourced. Okay, this is called a virtual organization. Okay, useful when environment of a firm is unstable, because whenever I want, I can just close it down. I can close down that function or business. Okay, instead of having salaried employees, I may contract with people for specific project or length of time. I just told you here, you will pay the salary of the employees who are working in that outsourced organization. In your company, you don't need to have any salaried employee, and for them you can give a salary for a limited period of time for which you have this contract. Organization business function are scattered at different geographical locations. That means that I can do my customer care from India, I can do my manufacturing from China, I can do my sales from some other country or something like that. It is just scattered at different geographical locations. Okay, last topic, guys. Last topic. We'll complete it in next 10 minutes. Last topic is Hourglass. Okay, just tell me if network structure is clear. Network structure is clear. Fast. Okay, guys. Yeah. Next, last we have hourglass structure. You guys know what is hourglass? Hourglass, it's sand glass, it's like this. No, my drawing skills, 1 second. Have this. Okay, this is your hourglass. Okay, so what if you see the structure of hourglass? Same way you will have the hourglass structure in an organization. What will happen is there will be a lot of top level people. There will be a lot of top level people. A very narrow middle. A very narrow middle level. A very narrow little people will only be there in your middle level. In the lower level you will have a lot of people. So in top level you will have a lot of people. In the middle you have a little people only. In lower level you have again a lot of people. Okay. So there's someone. Oh, 1 second, guys. Hooker. Okay. Yeah. So what was I saying? Yes. Okay. So yes. So what happens is that you have a lot middle level. Why do you have in the middle? Why do you have a little people or a little workforce in the middle level? Is that because today what has happened is that a lot technology has come in. Okay, technology has come in our organization. Okay, so what happens is that the low level people are due to the technology are easily low level people due to the technology are now easily able to talk to or communicate to top level people. The need for middle level people is very little today. Okay, because of technology. Okay, a good example to this would be your Ola. Your Ola company follows the principle of hourglass structure only. So they have so this Ola company has a lot of people who are working at the top level. Okay, and at the middle level, sorry, at the low level, you have a lot of drivers also. At the low level, you have a lot of drivers. Okay, low level is your driver. Okay, you have a lot of drivers at the low level. But the middle level, what they have, so the people you might have heard, if you ever had a conversation with a Ola or a Uber driver, so there was this one time I was traveling in an auto, and I was traveling. Then I was traveling in Ola, I guess. I'm not. So they told me, their maps are not working well suddenly. They used to call and ask, and one day I asked them, why do you always call and ask where do you have to come? You already have maps in your mobile, right? So what is the issue? Why don't you, what's the issue? Why do you ask me every time where you have to come? So then he told me that no, we are actually having this issue where, our maps are not getting updated, okay, according to what the customer location is, and it's just showing wrong location. So then I asked him that you will have the center, where you go and tell your whatever issue you have, and that they will get you clarified about it. That time he told me that, we are a lot of people who are working as the drivers, but to the people who we have to report or who are there in the middle level to solve our problems, they are very little people only. They only have 1 to 2 organizations existing in the whole of Tamil Nadu, is what I have heard. I'm not sure. So what happens is that to the people, the issue solving people are very little, okay, and they what they say is this middle level will also have to ask from top level and only tell this. So that is why we are having problems. Okay, so the Ola, so the what they here in the text, what they tell is that drivers are easily able to contact to the corporate level due to the technology. They might this Ola drivers, what they can do is they can type in whatever the issue they have, and they can send it to the corporate level, and then they'll take decisions on that. Okay, but here they say the technology is helping them here, but actually that's not the case. In real life, that's not the case. But in the text, what they're trying to say is that because of technology, the drivers are easily able to communicate to the top level using the technology. They can just leave in a message, and the top level people will see that, and they will reply to it and all of that. Then because of that, the middle level people are very lonely. 2 to 3 people are there in middle level. Okay, so yes, so that is what is hourglass structure. So the role of middle management, I'm reading the text, guys, I'm reading the text. The role of middle management is diminishing as the tasks performed by them are increasingly replaced by the technological tools. Okay, so this consists of 3 layers and a constricted middle layer. You have a top, middle, and bottom layer, whereas the middle layer is very constricted. Short and narrow middle management is what you have. Information technology links the top level to the bottom level, taking away many tasks that are performed by the middle level managers. Okay. So the benefit is here is that you have reduced cost. The people in the middle level are very less, so a lot of employees are cut down, so very less salary. Okay, your salary is saved. Benefit is reduced cost and reduced size of middle management. Promotion opportunity. So what is the disadvantage here is that, so the promotion, say normal businesses, leave the example of Ola. So what happens is normal businesses, you have functional levels, then you have a narrow middle level, and then you have again a big top level. So what happens is that there might be 50 people who are working at bottom level. Everybody who joins our organization, every Indian wants to get promoted. But what happens in hourglass type of structure is that only the people who are promoted will only be 10 people or 5 to 10 people. There will only be 5 to 10 people. So all of them cannot be definitely promoted. Only a little people will be promoted to middle level. So the promotion opportunities for such lower level diminish significantly and difficult to keep. So that's why they are not always motivated. A company, a person will only work good if they have some kind of a promotion that is going on. So this will have a little motivation level will be low here. So yes, guys, we are done with our all types of structures.